3, 2,
Look, I don't want to.
Welcome back to the Dust Off the Mic podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Tell me more about your bad life decisions.
It's and they's such a bougie bitch. I really don't care.
The gulf between where you want to be and where you are
I wouldn't let her touch me.
is a lot smaller than you think.
You're just not ready for something. That's what that was.
We'll talk later.
I see the process and the journey I'm supposed to be, but perplexed. Because I don't really see nobody close to me. Hopefully this ain't wasted. Oh my God. You gotta
So I was like, all right, cool.
You need the patience and the pressure to detonate. I'm trying to blow up.
Gloves are off.
Need to get it straight. Gifted with a vision and precision. I'm just trying to make it high key. Might be breaking free like I was Zion in some Nikes. Tucked at the crib, bro. You know just where to find me. Making beats and spitting crack verses pretty likely. Yeah. Socks with the.
Hello, folks. What's up? It is Wednesday, my dudes, so we are back with another Dust Off the Mic podcast. And guess what? I got a guest. Chuck Kaplan, ladies and gentlemen. Say hello, bud.
Hey, thanks for having me here.
Yeah,
Appreciate
no worries,
it.
man. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, it's good
Thanks for
seeing
coming.
you.
Finally got to see the inside of the studio and kind of what the inside of my brain looks like, I guess.
Nice.
Let me turn this off.
I like the Tom Segura.
Yeah, I saw him live. Oh, dude, that's actually a funny story. I saw him live in Delaware. No, Philly. It's right there in Philly. And I had a migraine, a massive migraine. And my wife bought me the tickets for my birthday. And we had to obviously see it early because it was just an early show, and I'm in February. But yeah, dude, I had this massive migraine, and we got the cheap seats because, of course, my wife bought them. She's a Jew by injection.
Nice.
We're in like the second to last row, and I'm listening to everything, and I'm laughing, but I'm like, like I couldn't open my eyes. It was so bad.
Did you see a special? The
Yeah.
HBO.
Oh yeah, and I'm in
the
the midst.
Netflix.
I'm in the midst of his show right now. The Bad Thoughts. Have you been
The
watching
opening
that?
scene is crazy.
Holy fuck, dude! It's such a funny show.
And I was sitting there watching with my wife and daughter.
Oh, good. I was
Yeah.
watching with my niece.
Yeah.
I was watching with my 17-year-old niece and my wife, while my 4-year-old played in the next room.
Yeah, that was not good.
Slightly traumatizing. And I ran into saw a woman in traffic the other day that looked like the face on the back. Oh, it was rough. It was rough. I'm sorry if you know who you are, but you know who you are. Fucking gross. Just don't leave the house. I mean, whatever. Okay, Chuck.
Yeah.
What were we talking about before we hit play? Oh, we were talking
dad?
about my father. Yeah. I've been good.
Good.
You know, it's been a little over a year, about a year and a half now, probably coming up on 2 years, because he passed in January of last year. So we're like almost at the halfway mark of a year and a half, I guess. Whatever sense that just made. I don't know. The initial chaos was wild. It's really crazy to see.
Well, he was a confidant, right?
Not only was he a confidant, but he was like the matriarch of the family. Okay. You know what I mean? He was the oldest brother of his siblings. His parents had been gone for almost 10 years at this point, so he was that
in
dude.
Charge, yeah.
And to be truthful with you, man, we all thought we had more time. We all thought we had more time, dude. Like, I at least thought I had another 10, 15 years left, because both my grandparents went in their mid-80s, and my father went at 70. So that's young compared to, by 2026, 2025 standards, it's pretty young.
Bring the rest of the family a little closer a year later, in hindsight.
We're still working on it.
Okay.
You can see, it's crazy to see who the adults are in the room when shit gets nuts. And coming from me, and those who know me, that's still a weird
Shit's
thing.
gotten nuts.
Yeah, it's weird. You'd think the adults kind of just always adult, but even the people twice my age were losing their fucking mind and not thinking clearly. And I don't know if it's because I was like desensitized to it through my past shit and losing a lot of friends young and really like. But I don't know. Like I think I handled it pretty good.
Good.
I had my moments.
Hey, you all do.
Yeah. So you know why you're here, because you're a straight up G when it comes to sales and management, and I took the time, and I wanted to make sure you knew why you were here, dude, because you're probably one of my favorite managers as far as balance and just able to be hung around and personability. I think you learned very early on that each salesman is an individual, and there's no blanket way to manage.
Right. For me, it was starting in sales. I started in the mortgage business, worked my way up, and became youngest branch manager for GMAC Mortgage, won President's Club, and that was a good stepping stone. I learned a lot.
And what year is this?
Oh, jeez.
Sorry.
Yeah. And so I was 30, so it was, 90.
Oh wow.
So it was a good time and rode that wave. Did some wholesale, which I just absolutely loved, and ran a region for that. And that's when the mortgage crunch hit. And, you know, my team was the most successful in the country. I had 6 people over 750,000 each a year, one making $1.5 million, you know, and nobody less than 5. And then that came tumbling down after, you know,
08?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you found was my guys were smart. They didn't spend like they made 800,000. So they were all well heeled and were able to find different avenues to explore. But you know, that taught me a lot about the individuals and, you know, how we came together trying to help each other. You know, we were friends, but we were coworkers, and it was the best experience I ever had. And I miss those guys. I transferred the skills. You know, I think listening's the big thing. You know, asking questions that are pointless just because, you know, it's the road to the sale. You know, that's,
I love that.
It's kind of ridiculous. You know, get to know the person, be a social chameleon. You know, doing the same steps over and over. You know, to some point it works. It did in the past, but everybody's coming in. All they want to do is see it now. They already did the research.
Right.
They know why they're there.
Right.
You know, nobody just says, I want to buy a car, or what the hell, let's put a second mortgage on it. The decision was made. It's yours to lose, and I don't like to lose. You know, that's part of, you mentioned to me, you know, I do martial arts. And what's unique about what I do is not Aikido, but we take the energy and give it back. So I don't fight with the customer.
You match.
I listen, and is this what you said? So if I can do this, you'll do that? Yeah. And we get agreement. You know, butting heads goes nowhere. You know, I used to do a lot of customer service. I was the complaint guy. And there's only been one complaint.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see you really good at that.
I
Just
thought
putting
I
out
was.
fires on a daily.
There's only one fire I couldn't put out. And we failed a guy with a mortgage in such a way that his letter said, don't respond. I don't want to be compensated, but I just wanted you to know the experience you put me through was the worst experience, and that counts sitting in war next to my buddy and watching him get blown away. So there's nothing you could possibly do to lessen the damage you did to my family and me. I'm like, oh.
Jesus.
Yeah, I reached out to the guy and, you know, deflated, but somebody saying that they had that kind of experience and you ignore it, you know, tell me where we effed it up, you know? I mean,
Please.
let me know.
Because I promise you that was not my intention to ruin your life.
Yeah.
And it appears as though I have.
I had a guy,
Holy
you know,
shit.
who was selling cars, and I always ask if they're going to buy today. You know, at the end, I always ask for the business. And the one time I didn't, he called me after. He goes, why didn't you ask me for my business? And I'm like, I didn't. And it was the only time that I remember not doing it. And he came back and we, but
The answer's always no if you don't ask.
that's it.
On occasion, you roll into somebody who's just like, they got the vibe, they're ready to go. And then you can kind of autopilot through, but that's not the norm.
There's
That's
not a
the
lot
norm.
of them,
Right.
you know.
You can't even really make a living off that anymore. Because you have the world's most informed buyer anymore.
You know, they got to believe you're the added value.
Yeah.
And that's the thing people don't build.
I tell my customers all the time, I come with this. Like, I come with the camper.
Yep.
Like, no, I'm not a mechanic. So if something goes wrong, I'm not going to fix it. But I can at least harass the person who can fix it until it's fixed.
And that's the way
And
to
that's
do
my
it.
job.
Yep.
You know, and people want to know that there's accountability. And, like, that's why I always laugh when we're compared to, like, Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or something. Oh, I'm going to go buy it on Facebook. Go ahead.
Yeah.
The moment that axle rolls out from underneath you, that guy's going to block your phone number.
What?
Me,
Why'd
however,
you call me?
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
were you thinking?
give me-
you knew something's wrong.
Give me a call. Take everything I told you, make it a little bit worse if you make that decision. You know what I mean? But yeah.
How many people just sell it over the phone and give it away to somebody else?
But take the customers out of it for a second.
Yeah.
Where did you... I always find that in my experience that there's manageriitis. You know what I mean? There's the guy who's been working for a while to get to be sales management. And a lot of guys put that on a pedestal and think like that. Once I'm there, I'm free floating through the rest of life. And then they get this gigantic godlike ego. How did you avoid that? You never really
humble.
Yeah. I've seen you get spicy. But again, you said it yourself. You match people's energy.
You got to push me to get there. I'll give you a warning, and then I'll hit you in the head.
I said it to you all the time. You always walk around like you're ready to kick somebody in the chest. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to.
No, but if you needed to, it's nice to have
you
in
need
your
to
back
find out
pocket.
who I am. Come at me. So
That's cool.
yeah.
So what taught you the balance? What taught you the
That's the martial arts in me. I mean,
think so?
Yeah, for sure. Knowing not how to de-escalate, but not escalate, and just give it back. If you're having a verbal confrontation, and you call me an a-hole, and he expects me to call him a jerk off, and I said, "Why am I an a-hole? I just took your balance. Now you got to explain to me why I am who you say I am." Yeah.
How'd you come to that conclusion? I like that.
Yeah,
It's like, where'd you get that number from?
Yeah,
I love that.
That's great, So, I mean, for me, it's more important to have the relationship. That's where the business is going to come from.
Yeah.
When we did mortgages, we were the most knowledgeable group in the marketplace. Yeah. So when we took a deal from somebody else, we reminded them they came to us for the information. So why don't you start with us? So we want the right of first refusal on a deal. And that just blew the doors open, that whole mindset. So I thought it's important to know what you do and what others do.
Sure.
And that's how we sold it. And there's a lot of success for that with our teams. So.
Yeah. A lot of personability.
Yeah.
Because the 4 things you have to sell. The first thing you sell is yourself.
Yep.
Second thing you sell is the establishment. Third thing's the product, and then there's the numbers.
And mortgages are intangible.
Yeah.
You can't feel it.
No.
You know the result, but
Sure. Sure. Yeah, this mortgage is fucking nuts. I got to tell you, well over a decade in sales at this point, I did not feel like I was getting fucked in a sales transaction until I bought a house.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a fucking jarring experience.
Yeah. And when I refied, like, the title fees are insane. Like, I went to somebody I was referred to, and then he reviewed it, and I was naive. I didn't know what padding they had, and it was crazy.
Yeah,
the reality check there. So.
Wow. Now, if the money was in mortgages and homes, I'm assuming the insanity was in cars.
Oh yeah.
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 When did you get into car sales?
When the market crashed. So
okay.
I was
so you
out
swapped
for
in
2
08.
years. I went back in 2010.
Okay.
Because the market, I couldn't get a job.
Right.
I had a great resume, and then I was like the TARP kid, and so it was time to move on.
Did you go into sales or did you go right into management?
Nah, sales.
Yeah.
So I started as a grunt, taken advantage of, naive, work for a group that I had to leave because I felt like I was on SVU, Law and Order. I felt like a rape victim. Every day I went home, I couldn't get out of the shower. I was just so dirty.
You're just like, I don't want to go.
God.
Oh, man.
It was brutal. So I bought a car elsewhere, and they offered me a job, and I went there, and when I left, the one guy goes, "Oh, we're going to miss you." I said, "I did it for you." He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "If I stayed another day, I would have killed you." He goes, "But my brother's a state trooper." I said, "He would have been easy to find me." I don't hide.
I'm not trying to kill him.
Yeah. So it was crazy.
Well, that there is why you and I got along instantly, because we're both like trauma babies of auto sales.
Oh my God. Just
Like,
pointless activities.
I remember just dreading coming into work. That's the funny thing is, like, cars was the pro of cars is it made me into a fucking weapon. It just like I got ran through the wolf's den. Like, it made me into a sales weapon, drilled me through countless scenarios and word tracks and people and objections to the point where the next person coming in is probably going to say something I've heard 15 times.
Oh yeah. I never buy on the first day.
Yeah. But it's the when it's bad. It's the when things get tough or the manager didn't get blown the night before, you know what I mean? Like, just when you have a management staff with a God complex, it really makes a shitty store. They could be all the talent. They could be all the talent, but if they're not good with their own staff and not treating people with dignity, it's terrible.
Well, I think, you were always good at presenting the personality of the people you're with, and you have to.
Yep.
But if they don't listen, they're doing their script, and it's not going to help you. It's going to become adversarial because they're going to come back and say, "Well, I just told Dustin this," So
I present them with the energy that I show them that I'm capable of giving in the future. So a lot of people like that. They're like, "Wow, this guy's got a lot of that energy," and he seems to be on it. Like, "Oh wow, that was a really honest response." So he didn't know.
Right.
He just said he didn't know. So.
And leaving the tower has always been one of those things where you could watch, and if you're a customer and you got a guy scowling as they leave the tower, you win because now it's your game.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't believe what he was just told to give you as far as sales numbers. So it's a win for the customer.
It's like relighting a candle every time. It's got to burn. It's got to burn.
Yeah.
You can't take your day out on the customer. You got to be able to pivot. You got to be able to just it's like going up on stage as a comic. Like the crowd's going to be different almost every time.
Well, we were always supportive too in sales. Like in cars, when you had an a-hole. A really close friend of mine had a customer with this little poodle at his desk, and it was going nowhere. He's my bud. I download Silent Dog Whistle. And I walk by and I hit that thing on a high frequency. Oh, yeah. And the finance manager knew, and he's looking at the fishbowl waiting. And all you hear is this little dog going, and I would keep doing it. And then he's texting me, "Is that you doing that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got your back. He'll be gone in a minute." Yeah. Because, some people are just there.
You get like war buddies.
Yeah.
They're like I have actual I have a lot of friends that are in the service and are retired vets. They're like, "Bro, you have PTSD."
Oh yeah.
He's like, you reacting certain ways. Like you may not be like reacting to pops or balloons popping and diving under desks and shit.
Situational.
Yeah, I'm not running around at 3 a.m. in my underwear thinking people are in the trees. But like at the same time, like I react to certain things quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's with salespeople too.
Yeah, I do that.
The salesman had your back. That was in cars. Like if your fellow salesman didn't have your back, it was a very rough time.
Yep.
You need at least 2 or 3 good guys.
I brought a lot of people from one place to another. It's because they trusted me. I did the due diligence. They followed.
Yeah.
It was accountability. There was a big difference. But I always enjoyed sales because it was always different every day.
Yeah.
Being ADD, I don't want to do the same thing
exactly
every day.
And you're in control mostly. Like, yeah, somebody signs your check, somebody sets the pay plan, somebody gives you the product. But at the end of the day, if I'm a lazy piece of shit, I can't complain about being broke.
Yeah, I knew what I had to do, and I wrote it down, and I got it done that day.
I hated that. And the hourly wage thing. I work at Panera Bread. I busted my ass. It's like 4:30 in the morning. I'm making breakfast sandwiches, and then I got one lazy cocksucker on his fucking phone.
Yeah.
Me and that guy are making the same amount.
Yep.
We'll be here the same amount today, and he's gonna just find corners to cut. And then you find sales, and you're like, okay, if I work harder, I get more money.
Yeah.
I like
make
that.
it. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. You eat what you kill.
Right. And you're not reliant on others for income. I mean, in a sense.
Yeah. No,
you need your managers to know what they're doing. You need finance to know what they're doing. But
you got to listen and you got to learn. You got to advance.
Right. As long as you have your domain on lock, you're fine. And then the rest usually gets worked out.
Yeah. I've been through a lot of transitions, like going from paper to digital, which sounds crazy now, but in the mortgage business.
God, what is that like?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Well,
I didn't even realize you were in that shift.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So I beta tested a lot of stuff at Citibank, and it was crazy because the resistance was from the mortgage brokers. And I get it. You've always done it this way, but business is fluid, adapt or die, and it was interesting.
What was the resistance to electronic?
They didn't want to be bothered. They didn't want to type. They didn't want to do that.
They didn't want to change things.
Right. They used a pencil and paper, and they used a fax machine. God. Find one now.
You imagine if they hadn't changed?
The ones who didn't died, It just passed them by. But it's so much easier because you don't have to worry about records, storing. It's digital.
You have to worry about rats eating the fucking...
You get audited, you bring up the file they want.
The paperwork,
So,
yeah. And they still keep paper. They still keep contracts for 7 years.
Oh, yeah. It's insane.
Yeah.
You think they would digitize, and that's acceptable.
It's just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case, man. What would you say is like your favorite sales job? You think that mortgage place was your
the
favorite?
One, yeah. When I was a regional for a wholesale, it was great. I worked from home, and my wife didn't understand how you could work from home and send me texts telling me things I could do. I'm like, look, I eat and I take bio breaks. Otherwise, I'm working.
Right.
You know, although I did make a mistake because I didn't realize that we were in a flight pattern, and I took a call as a conference call outside and didn't have my phone on mute, and then I get a text from my boss. Is that you with the airplanes? I'm like, yeah, why? And then I realized I'm in a flight zone, and now everybody hears it as they fly by. So I learned. But yeah, it's always that was a great job, just because it was a great team, you know. And I would go to the office at the end of the month for 4 days. I would just stay up in Parsippany. Otherwise, you know, we all communicated really well. You know, anything I needed was online. I could talk to an underwriter, share the file. You know, it was important to have the relationship, and I had that everywhere I go. I knew, you know, a no on Monday is a no on Monday. I'll wait till Tuesday, you know, and I'll work it, and that always worked for us. So,
wow, I have my buddy Slay Cozy. He's the guy who's been helping me. So he's the reason this doesn't look like shit.
Hey,
on the screens.
Nice job.
The rest of this is insane, and that's my doing. But he's asked, how do you keep up with the tech and compete with online shopping? He doesn't. He's retired. And I want to thank you.
How would I?
Yeah, how would you?
I mean, keeping up with tech is, I always like that, you know. In selling cars, I made sure I knew how everything worked, because
I was doing the walk around better than everybody.
Oh yeah.
You were not going to outperform.
And I wasn't going to turn it over at the end for somebody else to teach you how it worked. Nah, that's me.
Yeah.
So that was important. The knowledge, you need to be able to communicate. And online, they came because they can't touch it and feel it. So I'm going to let them touch it as they commit. You know, give me a little bit of forward progress here.
Show me where you're at.
Yeah.
Also, the funniest part is they're in on a price for a reason.
Yeah.
Like the internet, my favorite line is, I'm not advertising my second best price. And people still come in thinking there's thousands and thousands. We're just holding it all. We're holding something. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to understand that. We got to make our money somehow. And people just come in and they think we're like nuts. We're lying. Like, I'll get them down. I'll work them
and
down.
you know
It's
who
nuts.
those people are, because when you're doing your meet and greet, you know, and you're asking for their budget and they say $250 a month. Oh, you know, when you say you're putting 40,000 down, no. Okay, well, let's get back on the real page here.
And if your walk around and your demo was solid, and you've gone over every aspect, and you've built value in yourself, and you've got them laughing, and you've talked about the dealership and their certified ASE technicians, and you walked them through. You've given them the whole walk around.
Yep.
And then they still want to break my balls about money.
Yep.
I said, you mean to tell me I added no value? I added no value to that $250. Didn't I do a good job? Didn't I do like $30?
Did you learn anything here?
Did I do $1 a day? $250 to $280? Did I do $1 a day more?
Nice.
Come on, man. Work with me. How do you keep occupied after retiring? Well, first of all, before you get into that, can I just say thank you for retiring from sales?
Yeah.
I didn't really think it was possible. I thought salesmen just worked until they exploded or had a mental breakdown. Like,
Nah, I wasn't waiting for it.
All right, that's good. I'm proud of you.
I knew it was going to get bad
Some
towards
people
the
get
end.
hooked on the life, dude. They get hooked on the life. I know guys that are in their late 70s still fucking cooking.
Well, they played a game, you know. With my last job, you know, they said, "Hey, we'll do what you wanted," because I wanted to take over a second shop. And they said, "Okay, you know, we're going to give you that, but the compensation's going to go down at both shops. So you're going to give me basically the same opportunity with twice as much work." And they said, "Yeah."
Pass.
And that's when I said,
See ya.
"Adios."
So how do you stay occupied now with your newfound freedom, besides going to random people's houses?
Yeah, you know, this
and
is
just
all.
chill-
I'm going to your neighbors on Tuesday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
What's
they
he
don't
got?
know it
What's
yet.
What's he
but-
got? An actual casting couch?
Yeah, you know, I have a little blue light. So.
Oh, good.
But,
So what have you been doing with your time? You still training? Still doing everything?
Yeah, I always do something martial arts wise, getting back to the gym. But I go fishing. I love kayak fishing, so I do that. Try to do it twice a week. I have a granddaughter, so I watch her all day Monday. Greatest fun. She's past that jello stage, which is like, I hated it. You know, you poke them and maybe they move. But now she's interacting.
Now
and
they're
it's
running
like-
around. That's cool.
and she gets me.
Nice.
Which is scary for her.
Simple creatures.
Yeah, yeah. So
That's cool.
But it's all about family and friends, and that's what
Most of your family's, with the exception of, you said your daughter's South Carolina, but
she's in South Carolina.
is I think most of them, the rest of them local?
My son, he's in Mount Laurel.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's great. My wife's family's very close, and then I disown my sister and disown my brother. So
Fucking A.
yeah, fuck them.
It happens. I could see how families get estranged. I always thought, like, man, my family's cool, we're tight, and then
My brother converted to Islam and became radicalized,
Oh.
and did federal time for having a website that the Fort Hood psychiatrist and several of those people were chatting through. So yeah.
get the fuck out of here.
Oh yeah.
Did he grow a beard and everything?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Changed his name.
I'm just picturing you with a beard now.
Yeah, nice.
Sorry, keep going.
But yeah, my mom figured it out at one point. So this was years ago, pre 9/11.
Okay.
And I Google search and I'm like, Yosef El Khattab or Yosef Cohen converts. So Cohen and Kaplan,
Yeah.
same name. And I'm like, oh boy, So I confronted him. He was living in Israel at the time, and he had an arranged wedding. He was a Hasid living in New York. Oh, it was crazy, dude.
What the fuck?
Oh yeah.
I did not know any of that.
Oh yeah, like men on one side, women on the other. They lifted us up right on a catering table. My dad, he was probably 200 pounds. Me and my brother, like you've seen the ceremony with. Okay, well, this was on a catering table with chairs. Now, have you ever seen a chassid known for their aerobic or strength train?
No.
No. So all 6 of those guys lifted us up, and down goes Frazier. My dad went sliding over the table. And it was just like one freaking thing after the other. But at the end, everybody's outside, and that's when they scared the shit out of me with this Moroccan marriage scream. Oh boy, that'll change your life.
Moroccan marriage scream.
All you hear is this viral yell, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? I'm like, oh, and that concludes our service. I'm like, fucking great. So
Jews just end on bagels. God damn, what the fuck?
This one, this is great. So we figure out what's going on, right? So I call my brother in Israel and just sort of teasing him to find out. He's like, so what are you asking me? I said, why? Your kids go to school? Because, yeah, private school. I said, you sell incense on the street. How do you pay for that? He goes, oh, the community provides. I said, the community provides? Which one is that? He goes, what are you asking me? I said, are your kids in Hamas school? He goes, yes. And that's when it fucking went crazy, right? So after 9/11 happened, he told me that was a Jewish conspiracy. And that was the ignorant, whisper down the lane bullshit. And that was the last time I talked to him, except when my dad was in the hospital and my mom died. And that was it. I had nothing to do with it.
Wow.
My parents went to Israel to try to save my sister-in-law and the kids. And when they went, everything was supposed to be set up. The Israeli group, I forget what, Yad Vahad, set everything up. My brother leaves, and she knocks on the door, and my sister-in-law comes to the door and goes, Mom, what are you doing here? She goes, I've come to get you and the kids. And they didn't watch the back door. My brother walked back in. He freaks the fuck out. They kill Jews here, blah, blah, blah. And my mom is so naive because an article came out in Details Magazine, which was an offshoot at GQ. And the only person who ever called me who figured things out was the guy who wrote the article. And he goes, your brother's deeply disturbed, if that's your brother. And he was cool about it. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, he would talk to, the IDF, knowing that a bus on the route was blown up yesterday, and he would ask them, what time's the 12A coming by, like fucked up stuff. And at the end, the article, it's like, nobody touches my family. I'm like a lion, and they're my cubs. And I try to tell my mom that, that's who he is. He's crazy. I ended up seeing him listening on YouTube to a radio cast that he did with Alan Combs, who, couldn't be more left-wing, but what he said what my brother said to him was so vile that I literally called the FBI the next day here in Trenton. Said, this is who I am. This is who my brother is. You want me? Here's my number. I hang up. A minute later, I get a call. Are you really who you say? Yeah, this is who I am. He goes, do you mind meeting me tomorrow? And no, not at all. We met at the Sage Diner. It was he and his New York FBI guy, and I became friends with the Homeland Security guy assigned to him in Atlantic County, and it was crazy. And my mom was naive. He was writing all this vile stuff under her roof when he was in the States. And I'm like, this is crazy, She's like, well, he just needs meds. I'm like, well, he's got to take them for them to be effective.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good times. I've
Holy
never
shit.
lost dysfunctional family bingo. Never.
Yeah, my brother was a little mean to me growing up. He put me in a dryer and turned it on heavy load, but you got a fucking terrorist brother.
Yeah, my brother pulled a knife on me, and I jacked him up and hit him in the air before he hit the ground, and
I
I
wouldn't
never
have pulled
did that
a knife on
again.
you.
Yeah.
Being in constant state of danger makes you fucking nuts, and willing to get in that is absolutely insane, says Slayer. And you're right, buddy.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I never knew that.
Yeah, he was like a recruiter, and he had this website that encouraged an attack on a Chabad,
And you were like, as soon as you realized what was going on, you fucking got on the horn with
I said this is
feds.
fucked up because I knew what he was doing. So I get a call from Homeland, going, do you know? And they couldn't have been cooler.
Sure.
Do you know anything about your brother's itinerary? And when they know, I mean, I have no contact with him.
Mm-hmm.
He said, well, he's coming in, and it happened to be the week before Obama's second inauguration. And they knew he was coming in, and they said, we're picking him up just to question him. I'm like, I get it. He's flying alone. He's on, a watch list, packing no clothes, and, he's not known for his sanity. They pulled him in before the inauguration, make sure, no attempts to be made.
You think he was on his way?
No, he doesn't have the balls. No.
Yeah.
But he would encourage martyrdom. He would let his kids die for the cause. He wouldn't. He was a big pussy,
What the fuck?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, crazy stuff.
Jesus Christ. How long was he in prison for? Is he still?
No, he's out. Did federal time in Virginia.
Wow.
Yeah. Had to cut a deal, but yeah, it was crazy.
Did he fly back to the Middle East? And
He can't. He's in New York. He can't fly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he tried to get citizenship. He was an Israeli. Like, he went there as a Jew and ended up being converted by a cleric. Now, here's a small world. I do martial arts. I go to Montreal. My master's Jewish, and still is. His mother dies at the time, so I'm there, and we go to the synagogue, and I said, do you mind if I talk to the rabbi about my brother's situation? No. So I start talking to the rabbi, and the rabbi goes, shh, shh, shh. I'm like, what? He goes, who's your brother? I said, Yosef Cohen. Well, of all the places in the world I could be, my sister-in-law's family, I forgot, were from Montreal. I was at their synagogue, and the brother was in Israel at the time trying to get the family back. So he thought I was a plant, and then he realized I truly wasn't.
Get the hell out of here.
Freaking
Talk
small
about Jewish
world.
geography. Holy
It's
shit.
crazy.
7 Jews, all of them at some
That's it.
point. That's sad because that can really put your whole family and friends in danger
Like I said, if I had,
Yeah.
if I had a brother, that's the joke,
Yeah.
If I had a sister, I'd disown her. So,
That's fucking nuts.
yeah, it's crazy.
Holy shit. So that you said that Obama's second inaugural, so that's 08?
But it was going on for a while, and
Right.
the website was crazy. It was called JewsToIslam.com.
Yeah.
And it was nuts.
What the fuck?
And he was like a recruiter, and he had like not terror workouts, just training on
Terrorist workouts?
Yeah,
Just
basically,
Like Shane Gillis says, just a bunch of fucking monkey bars and stuff. They really like the monkey bars.
crazy. Yeah.
Holy crap,
Yeah.
man.
He's
So-
always a shock and awe guy.
Okay.
Oops, sorry about that.
So the family's doing good
Yeah.
past that.
Past that,
Holy
everybody else.
fucking
yeah.
shit, dude.
Son's doing great. Daughter's doing great. Wife's, she doesn't want to retire. Likes what she's doing. you know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she works for a big company doing logistics overseas. So that, you know, she's having fun with the tariffs. But
Well, no wonder you're so fucking calm all the time.
Yeah, I got
your
nothing.
fucking baseline was terrorism.
oh yeah,
Holy shit.
oh yeah. It was a
Holy
good time.
fuck. All right, so I guess on that note, what would you say is your probably craziest sales story overall? I mean, at 30 some odd sales career, you got to have a couple of gems in there that you can float our way.
Yeah, I had a guy. Well, besides the complaint letter, but I had a guy buying a car and wanted to have the lowest miles. Didn't care about the car, you know, color or anything, but had to have the fewest miles because he wanted the most warranty. And then he showed us his trade. And he didn't have any kind of, I guess, badging, you know, was against it because he thought that was advertising that he wasn't getting paid for. And
He's right, but
yeah. And, you know, he would have worn the aluminum helmet, but he used duct tape. The entire interior of the car that he was trading was duct tape. Okay, the roof, the door, everything. And he goes, I'm just preserving the value. I said, how tacky do you think it's going to be the day we pull that tape off on a hot day and somebody lays their arm there? You think we can ever clean this?
You got a clay bar the dash. What the fuck?
I'm like, what the fuck? You know, so that was tough for me to just get my arms around it. I just couldn't do it, you know. He stumped me. I sold him, but...
What'd you give him for the car?
Oh,
Bupkis?
yeah.
Good. Fuck him.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck him.
But I don't know what he was thinking.
Duct tape.
Yeah, they came in. I thought they had a baby. You know, they had a stroller. Little frickin' rat dog. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is what you do with your life. I'm like, okay, great. But they were off-grid people. They were whack jobs. So I'm like, okay, you're running from somebody.
I told you the story of the guy who tried to light the place on fire.
No.
The Indian guy. I think I showed you the video of it.
Where's this?
There's no shot we worked together for more than 5 minutes, and I didn't show you that video. It's one of my favorites. I'll show you later, because last time I put it online, they made me take it down.
Oh.
Even though the group is not active anymore, maybe I'll throw it in there right about here, and then we'll see if it gets flagged. So this guy wasn't my customer. He's a service customer. He comes in with a Suburban. He's got a limo service. Indian guy, very thick, heavy accent. Now, you know, just kind of speaking of terrorism and crazy car stories, I am fully aware that Indians with turbans are not terrorists.
Correct.
I'm fully aware
Right.
of that. All right, let's start there. This guy comes into service, has like a $9,800, almost $10,000 bill on his Suburban, and you know how cars work.
Yeah.
We don't put a fucking wrench to it until you sign off and all that stuff. So apparently he signed off. They informed him of how much it was going to be, how long it was going to take. So this guy had come back a few days later, got the bill, and he's like, fuck you, I'm not paying this shit. And he's like, I'm going to burn this fucking place to the ground. And he legitimately walked across the showroom. And mind you, I'm one of 7 felons out of a showroom of 12.
Right.
We're not the fucking place to do it. Yeah. And I'm the smallest guy on the showroom floor. Everybody else is bigger and just as crazy as I am. This guy is motherfucking all the way through the show. Motherfucking, I'm going to burn that place to the ground. Crosses Haddonfield Road to the Advanced Auto Parts. And you can hear him. You can see him going, motherfucker, all the way across the street. Gets a fucking gas can, and there's a Wawa gas station right next to the Advanced Auto. So he's like, motherfucker, oh, like, with the gas can in his hand, and he starts stomping back, and we can hear him getting closer. Meanwhile, we're all watching. Everybody's watching. The receptionist desk where he was arguing the bill was right there. He fucking ran across the showroom out the back door. And now we're watching him march towards us with a fucking gas can that's just filled. All of us are from the Wisha motherfucker woods. So we come outside, and Bob Ray, who has passed on since then, was this old school, like 70s, 80s car guy, 3-piece suit, worked for Kerbeck.
Yeah.
You know, real, like, what people base the stereotypes on, but a solid closer, taught me a shit ton. Just an overall bad fucking dude. Not the guy you want to threaten to light on fire. Probably carried a gun with him everywhere, and that tucked in that suit with one of those old school, like, 1940s leather bandoliers or whatever you call them. So this guy's like, fucking like, fuck you. I swear to God, the video's insane. And meanwhile, this guy Roland, who I sat next to for 7 years, and he's up to here on me. Looks tiny little Smeagol looking guy, real nice guy, a little bit fucking insane. Like he's the guy I told you, like, he can barely understand what he says.
Yeah.
Like you got to speak Rolandisms.
Nice.
He just out of nowhere runs across the fucking street, grabs his fucking gas can from this guy, rips it out, and then now all the sales staff is ready to fucking roll this Indian dude out. And I'm sorry, but like, I get it. Indians are not terrorists. If you're wearing a turban, that doesn't make you a terrorist. Right. I get that. I want to say that again. But you can't be like, motherfucking going to burn this place to the ground in America, wearing a turban
and come back
with gas.
Yep.
And then meanwhile, and you're at a Chevy dealership. It don't get much more American. Maybe Ford, but you're at a Chevy dealership. We're all going to fucking kill you. And eventually the guy got arrested for terroristic threats. His wife had to come back, pay the bill, and pick up the Suburban. He was told never to come on the property again. This guy almost got killed.
I had a guy, on a mortgage application.
Ooh, mortgage one. I like it.
Yeah,
let's go.
So, state trooper, okay, talking to him. And I said, what do you have for personal property? Oh, I don't have anything. I'm like, surely you have a weapon collection. Oh, yeah.
Surely.
Yeah. Yeah, who we kidding? I said, what's your favorite piece? He goes, well, I've got a nickel-plated Desert Eagle. And I know it's a friggin' hand cannon, right?
Sure.
And I just move on. I said, so which, we talked about it. Go on. The next day, he comes by to drop off documents with the Desert Eagle out, asking for me. And nobody knows who he is.
Is he holding it like he's going to shoot you?
No uniform. And they hit the panic button. Which they should.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's a good instinct.
What the fuck are you thinking about?
Yeah, you don't give a guy with a Desert Eagle the benefit of the doubt. That's not what you do.
No, nobody knew. Gun drawn, asking for me. Nah, thank you. But we had another guy in finance, went through buying a car, and we knew he was full of crap. We knew he was a front, did our due diligence, and bring up the article. Like he's talking as if I'm not there, saying, we're not selling you a car. We're not doing this. Boom, boom, boom. And here are the reasons. Like I'm not there. So we bring up the article and show that they try to repossess his Lexus, not from us, in his church. He was a pastor. And he drew down on the cops. And I'm like, this is why. He goes, oh, I'm like, yeah. If you know. So,
holy shit.
Yeah, good times.
What else? I've had trade-ins with 8 balls in them.
Oh, I got a video of a great one.
Oh.
Had to do an appraisal on a car. It had a lot of tree sap on it. It was sitting, but it was just after COVID. I'm like, I'm not worried about it. Buddy goes, you got to check under the hood. I'm like, why? He goes, well, the animals could eat through the wires and all that. I'm like, okay, I'll humor them. Pop the hood, right? Son of a bitch. There's a freaking possum up by the headlights with plastic bags that made a home in there, and it's there. And I'm like, what the fuck? So this Asian dude, his trade, he's got a 4-year-old kid right on his right. He goes to the back of his car, gets the crowbar and starts poking it, and the thing scurries off over to BMW. Like not even considering that his kid is right there, and it's probably this rabid freaking creature. I'm like, yeah, that was a good one.
Scurries over to BMW.
It did. It was freaking freaky. But yeah, you don't get many like that.
My buddy Milt pulled a kitten out of an engine bay.
Nice.
He works at Main Street Auto in Marlton. That shit went viral. He pulled it out and he was on the news and everything. It just shows you how simple people are.
I went to a guy's house to show him the car because he couldn't make it. Opened the door, didn't realize there was a bee's nest, and they all came at him. That was interesting.
I've taken trade-ins with dirty diapers just sitting on the floor.
I had a chick trade back an Acura MDX because where she stashed her weed, they got rid of that part. So she wanted the original one back. I'm like, wow. Okay.
I've had that. Like the Tahoe I have has that little James Bond screen that lifts up. You could push it, and there's enough for your your wallet, a pair of glasses, and whatever. I had a guy come in, and he's like, man, you used to be able to put more shit in there. And I'm like, what do you mean? He said, well, the 2018, you could fit like 2-3 zips in there. Now you only can fit like 1-2 tops, dog. Like, I got to get, like, can you got any 18s left? And I'm like, bro, for real? Like,
This is your thinking.
I'm lowering your payment on a new Tahoe, and you're bitching about the weed stash space.
Yeah, really.
Fucking asshole.
Hey, you can't fix stupid.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you know, I have little nuances like that about my cars. Like, I'm about to buy another one of those 2-door Tahoe things that I'm obsessed with. They're just like little things that I like, that I love about that car, that I want in every other car that they don't make anymore.
Oh.
Like the really soft cloth seats. I really love that. Like that almost velour, like, you know what I mean? I like that.
The stains stay forever.
Yeah, but they're my stains.
Yeah, it's DNA trace.
They
gonna
got
come
my
back.
fucking DNA, homie. They've had it since fucking like
Oh,
09.
okay, got
They've
it.
had my fucking DNA since 09. We are the most disgusting animals on earth. You are correct. That is accurate. Yeah, Slayer's just over here chitting chatting.
Yeah.
Over a bill, Jeebus, why ruin your life over? No, it was $10,000 bill on his Suburban made him almost light our building on fire. $400 out of. I'm sure he would have probably just been pissed.
Yeah. We had a customer come back, wanted to go after the GM, right? He was a tough guy. He really was. And this guy was whacked like roid rage. And we had a guy, you know, always said he was a boxer and all that. We have everything on film. First to run away. It was great. I get up front, you know.
Oh, I love it.
This guy's gone, you know.
I like seeing people's faces when a really short guy comes up to them ready to get his ass whooped or whoop their ass. Like, that's my favorite. And I get a front row view of it because I'm the short guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't give a fuck if you knock me out. I could use the extra sleep, pussy. Just fucking let's go.
I'm 19 down the shore. You could drink, you know. So I'm at the bar.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I'm 96 pounds at the time.
19 down the shore. What is this, in the 70s, 80s?
Yeah, 79. So, you know, in a bar, just, I'm not bothering anybody. You know, and this guy starts getting in my face. I'm like,
Were you training at this point?
yeah.
Fun.
I'm like, you got to back off. He goes, why? And he starts getting there. So I hit him with one finger right in here and dropped him and stopped him from breathing. You know, I figured that was a good warning. Guy goes, I'm going to get up. I'm going to kick your ass. I said, get up slowly. I only used one finger, and you can't breathe, and you hit the ground. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do with my fist?
Yeah. So he backed off and, you know, finished my beer.
Slayer's got 2 questions. Earlier he had asked, what kind of martial arts do you practice?
It's called Seikido, Seikido, the way of circular energy.
Okay.
You know, I started out doing Goju-Ryu, hard soft.
That's karate.
Yeah, and I met the founder of Seikido, and I became his U.S. representative, and it was just awesome. You know, it was a big transition for me. You know, made me a different person. You know, I was heading in a bad direction, and this just kept me on a good path.
Sure.
Got my mind back and good balance. So.
And then he had asked, what's the biggest sale you've ever made?
Oh, it would be in the mortgage side.
Yeah, more than likely mortgages.
Multi-million-dollar.
Fuck.
Yeah, my team when we did wholesale, we did 1.8 billion a year. Yeah, it's like some country's freaking budget. You know, it was wild.
Some managers get upset at you when you start talking about commissions and stuff. So I wouldn't be able to talk about the biggest one I've made currently, but I think in cars my biggest one was like a $30,000
Did you really?
commission. Yeah. Forget what it was. It was no.
Let's say
You know
it was
what?
a used car.
I do remember. No, it was brand new.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was one of those K2 Rocky Ridges,
Okay.
and it was right around COVID. And I'm sorry, folks, but if you're stupid enough to pay $30,000 over MSRP for anything, I deserve your money more than you do.
Yeah.
And this guy asked no questions. You know how people say, I want your best deal? Well, my best deal is you say yes to everything and ask me no questions. This guy got my best deal.
Nice.
Yeah. I didn't get his best deal. You know what I mean? So
Well, a lot of people, they're afraid to ask.
the guy also had fuck you money.
Yeah.
The guy also had fuck you money. Like, he rolled up in a Phantom.
Nice.
You know what I mean? He had a fucking an oyster, or what do they call it, super oyster on the Rolex. I don't even know if that's a nice Rolex. Isn't that like Midway or some shit?
It's okay. I mean,
It's been a while. I'm a Movado guy. That's my range.
well, you know, if you get kidnapped, it's always good currency to have the Rolex on your wrist.
Slayer asked, have you ever fucked with someone that was a dick? You mean like a customer? Because
Oh, yeah.
yeah, almost daily.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can go biggest dick manager, biggest dick salesman, biggest dick customer in that order if you'd like, and I'm sure he can. I'm sure he can do 40 of those.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Biggest dick manager was probably that Bob guy I was telling you, but he hated me. I told you that. He hated me. Such a good fucking salesman and such a guy that you wanted to learn from, but he fucking hated every atom of my existence. I don't know why.
And you made him money.
I made him a good amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in defense, he made me a good amount of money too. This is a closer, and that
Yeah,
was
but
his job. He would show up. He would show up like at 9 on the dot, never early, never late. And he would sit down in his 3-piece suit in an office chair, and he'd smoke 1,000 cigarettes throughout the day, and he'd eat maybe one meal, and he would close deals. He wouldn't make fucking phone calls. He wouldn't train us on anything. He would close deals, and your job was to pay the fuck attention and watch how it's done.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he was so good, like, even though he hated me and I wanted to hate him back, like, I just wanted to learn.
Yeah.
Salesman-wise, there was a kid who fucking tried to skate me. Skate is a term for salespeople when a salesman steals another customer from you. He pulled some shiesty shit on me. I was going out to the lot. I'd shown up first. You know how I do. I show up super early. I was going out to the lot to go take the first customer, and he pages me saying there's somebody on the phone for me.
No.
Yeah. And I get back to my desk. There's no phone call, and he's already out there.
Yeah.
We wound up fighting on the side of the building.
Nice.
And then customer-wise, I don't know. Yeah, I need a year to describe my least favorite 100 customers.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some that, I don't know. We used to have all the nail salon owners come in on a Monday, you know, because they're all closed. Mm-hmm. And boy, that was not fun.
Yeah.
You know, the Vietnamese accent that they had.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It was rough.
And they're quick to call you scammers.
Yeah.
I would say, again, this is, you call it racist, call it whatever you want. Asian cultures are quick to feel like they're being fucked over. They're very quick. At least people who are like,
they become loyal because once, you know,
if they're treated well.
Yeah, and
if
that's
they're
how
treated well.
You know, I was big with the Israeli group down in Atlantic County because one of them beat me up, so you know, to the point where they knew, you know, I was doing the right thing by them, and that became a great resource for me and source of referrals. You know, so you got to still learn the business.
One of my favorite customers, who I still talk to this day, his name's Seiko. Shout out Seiko if you're watching. He's the reason why Thurman Street in Camden, New Jersey has Mall Chevrolet stickers on the back of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like I sold him one car, and then I sold his wife a car, sold his kid a car, his cousin, his brother, and then he's got like, oh, my boy's got like, so it's like 40 cars in. This guy could pretty much show up, put his dick on the tower, and the manager would be like, what's up, Seek? How you doing, bud? At this point, that's where he was. And like this, and another guy is William Holland. Is a guy I actually one of the few cases where I could say our intervention as a salesman helped him. And like he went from like a 580, got him approved on a leftover Impala. He came in, his wife sent him in to get an Equinox. And he's sitting out front sulking. I'm smoking a cigarette, and I was just coming from service, and he's sitting out there. He's like, fuck, man, sorry, son of a bitch. And I'm like, you good, dude? Not can I help you? I'm like, you good? You all right? Like, it sounded like he was trying to kill himself. Yeah. And he goes, man, I need a car. And I'm like, I need to sell one. What's up? He goes, how much is this shit? And I'm like, it's 28, whatever. And I'm like, shit. I'm like, you all right? Like, what's good? He's like, my wife wants me to get one of these because it's gonna be the payment, and I don't think I'm gonna get approved on nothing else. And I said, well, what do you want? He goes, well, he's like, this is nice. He points at this decked out midnight edition Impala, but it's a leftover, so it's got all the rebates, all the incentive. And I'm like, do me a favor. Say Equinox. He goes, Equinox. And I'm like, okay, now say Impala. He's like, Impala.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, see, let's go work up numbers on the Impala. We take him for a spin. He's like, man, he's like ecstasy rubbing this thing. He's like, oh, dude, the steering wheel, it's like leather wrap. Is that heated? Fuck. Like, he's so excited. Get him done on the car he wanted. And then this guy would go on to send every one of his family members. He would go on to buy his dream car from me. I have a video of him going, all right, that's it. That's like the 7th one. I can't buy no more cars off y'all. My wife said it. I'm done. And the only thing I didn't do was sell his wife a Tahoe. That was my only hurdle. His wife probably hated me because every time he'd come in for like a major service, he'd leave with another car.
My favorite, I sold a blind guy, a car.
That's not legal?
It was.
Okay.
So, yeah, it sounds crazy.
You didn't let him drive off, did you?
He knew about a program, a VA program. You know, he dude was cool. Wife was nodding off.
What was the test drive like?
I took control of that.
Okay, cool.
Wife drove. So it was going to be for the wife to take him around. But, the VA paid every single penny of it.
Wow.
And, he knew the program. I looked into it. Everybody said no. I said yes. And we got him done. But his wife, man, spending his money, because it's not like he can read the statement, right? And she's sitting there just nodding off, eyes rolling back. I'm like, oh, there's a problem here. But, yeah.
Speaking of disabled customers, I had a guy who lost both his legs and an arm to an Amtrak rail when he was 7 years old.
Ooh.
And Amtrak paid him $48,000 a month for like the rest of his life.
Oh, my God.
And this guy, he's like, all I do is drink too much, do drugs, and buy shit. And he said, I want this one. And his wife, similar situation. She was real sweet, though. You could tell, like, he had most of his shit exploded off of him. I imagine their intimacy was irrelevant.
Yeah.
So she was like, I'm going to take care of this guy, and then when he kicks the bucket,
Win-win.
Yeah. Really nice family. But this guy just bought so much shit. And I'm like, can I ask you a question? He goes, how am I going to drive it? I was like, how you going to drive it, dude? He's like, well, watch. And he had two prosthetic legs.
Right.
So he hobbled and he's like, look, this one actually pivots. And he's like, dude, I can pretty much just like lock in. He said the nub's long enough. He made me shake the elbow.
Nice.
Because his right arm was gone, and I went like this, and I'm like, my bad, dude. He's like, nah, fuck it, get in there. And I'm grabbing this part, and I was like, ugh. And I was like, let's go. He's like, yeah, people get weirded out by that. You could tell he was just having the most fun he could.
Just fucking with you.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, grab the nub.
Well, I had something not that crazy. You only had one bad leg, but I didn't know it, okay? So, we'd just gotten the new Equus, right? And the guy goes, do you mind if I sit in it? That's why it's here. It's in the showroom. Opens the door, gets in, gets his right leg in, and next thing I know, he takes his leg, spins it, and I'm like, there's got to be a camera. It's got to be my buddies just messing with me, right?
Spins it so it's up like this.
It spins it and then gets in and then brings it down. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? So I'm like...
My buddy, I had a guy I work with him at Chevrolet, Zach Kramer. He worked, he was a salesman, and he lost his leg to cancer when he was young. But goofy dude. And the funny part is like apparently when you lose a limb and you drink, it's like way more intense because your body is absorbing it at a different rate. I don't know the science behind it, but apparently if you have a missing limb as big as your leg or an arm and you drink, you get way more drunk because your body's not circulating it through an entire limb before it gets to wherever it needs to go to get you shitty. And we're at a Live Nation concert. I used to work the Live Nation shows because Mall Chevy would sponsor the events.
Oh, that's cool.
And we're sitting at the Killers, and my wife is so fucking into the Killers, and we just want to watch this set. And he sits down next to me, drunk as all could be, and he pops his leg up, and so his foot's sitting like this, and he goes, so, tell me about yourself.
Yeah, it's my kind of guy.
He just goes,
I would hang with that guy. Like
he was so cool.
I always wanted to be a ventriloquist because I would have fucked with people.
Yeah.
Just sit there and just...
Oh, this poor guy, man. They used to fuck with him so bad at Chevy. Like, nice people didn't belong at that dealership. Like, that's where you go if you wanted to go from nice to an asshole.
Yeah.
And they used to, like, hit him with, he had a bad customer, terrible credit score, needed a cosigner. He's like, he doesn't have a cosigner. What do I do? He says, then the manager said, tell him to go on to rentacosigner.com or something. And he's like, and he like hobbles out and he's following this guy to his car. And he's like, no, we're going to try rent a cosigner. And then he brings the guy back in. Hey, I can't find the website. And these guys, I'm like, come on, dude, give yourself a fucking chance.
How many times did you want to whip somebody's kid for running around the showroom uncontrollably?
A few times. I will say this in my experience, most kids were decent or they didn't bring them. There was a few.
I dealt with a few, but what I did was I used to keep a wireless speaker, and I would put it in the wheel well because I knew where the kids were playing.
Right.
And I would just download soundboards and mess with them. Like roaring, animal sounds, freak the kid out.
I used to have toys and shit the kids could play with, and a tablet, like a tablet I got for free when I started T-Mobile. Got stolen like 2 weeks in. Some kid probably just took it right out.
Nice.
Yeah. I've had a kid shit his pants on a test drive. That was fun.
I had a kid shit his pants during class in karate.
Oh, was he mid kick?
No, it's
Oh,
weird.
good.
We were doing rolls, right? And I should have known because he's firing warning farts, you know. So he'd come up, boom, and I'd roll him, and he'd rip one, and he ripped two, but the third time he was slow to get up, and that's when we saw it. You know, it's kind of a tough call to make to the parents.
Was it a white gi?
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
most of it. Yeah.
And not
And
after
day,
that.
yeah, he became a brown belt that day. We didn't have any paper.
Zing. I like it.
But yeah, that was bad.
Slayer says, "Oh my god, I'm so happy my kids are awesome." Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, my kids are
Yeah,
awesome
mine are
too, but
too,
I just
yeah.
don't take them anywhere because they're a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Like when we go to the grocery store, for some reason my wife insists on bringing all the kids. Like, why don't I just stay home, watch the kids? You go to the grocery store, vice versa. Let's delegate a little. Nah, everybody hop in the fucking car. You know, this one wants this shit. This one, my job has become a toddler Sherpa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. She actually does the real house stuff, and I have to go entertain a child in a supermarket. And how many times can you walk through the candy aisle and say no? You know what I mean? Before you want to rip your own head off and roll it down the aisle.
Yeah, people ask me what am I doing today or tomorrow? I'm like, haven't been told yet. You know?
Yeah.
Come on. It's an open schedule. I'm done.
Dude, the dealership is almost as bad as Home Depot for it's basically Auschwitz and Stalingrad. What?
Wow.
That's an interesting comparison.
I haven't experienced that part, but you know.
I mean, I think a car dealership's definitely closer to a internment camp than most career paths. And you get like that's again back to the management thing and how much I appreciated you as a presence when we worked together. It's really easy to be a shitty manager.
Oh yeah.
It's real easy to just let it get to your head.
But you've seen me, like when I don't agree with the policy, like I'll tell you why, and I'll make suggestions. But like if I think it's pointless, I will mess with you.
He meant for kids. Auschwitz for kids. Yeah, they have nothing to do there. Sorry. I thought he was talking about Home Depot. Working at Home Depot was like Auschwitz. I was like, I love Home Depot. Yeah. Fuck.
Okay, I got it with kids.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
with kids,
you.
anything's
All right.
Auschwitz.
Yeah.
You were saying, I'm sorry.
Ah,
I wanted to correct myself because I made him seem like he was...
you caught me off guard.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
You say Auschwitz in front of two Jews. We're like, where, what? I don't want to get on the train. Fuck that.
Well, when we were selling Mercedes, everybody in the dealership, would sit around the car and you had to tell one fact, and it can't repeat.
Right.
So I made something up, Mercedes is an NJHIT certified. And finally somebody goes up to me and goes, what does that mean? I said, no Jews harmed in testing. And the one guy goes, I'm in the JDF. I'm like, I don't give a shit. That's funny. It doesn't matter who you are,
Yeah. Fuck that. How did you make sure the power didn't go to your head when you were a manager?
Got married.
He diverted power to another human.
When I left, it was a different experience. We shared power.
Yeah.
So why not do it at work?
Yeah, I've had several conversations with several bosses when the conversation of like promotion comes up, and I'm like, I'm down to be a manager, but you guys got to let me be one.
Right.
I'm not here to make people fucking do a bunch of bullshit that doesn't lead to sales.
Right.
Let me know if you need to be closed. Let me know if you need to call somebody and get closer. Let me know if you need a word track or something. You need some extra training.
There has to be a point.
There has to be a point. Like mundane outbound there's no point.
That's why there's BDC.
It's why there's a BDC, correct. And any job that forces the salesman to be BDC is kind of shit. That just tells me
you have to do your current follow-up.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to touch base.
That's a gimme.
Touch base.
I'm not saying don't call.
But, going back 8-9 years, looking for something, calling, finding out, they don't have this, they're working with somebody else, just you get dumped on.
Yeah.
You
got to ask yourself, like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Why am I calling?
How many times you've been told, take me off your list?
Yeah,
now?
take me off the
now
list.
You're not a customer.
The past 6 times that they've been reached out to, they haven't called. And, oh, look, all those calls came within the past few months. Like, what the fuck?
Read the notes.
Read something.
Yeah. So.
If you told me, I need you to make so many phone calls a day, and then here's the list of calls, all these people have something in common, and that's why you're calling, like the call lists in cars. Yeah. They'd say, hey, new off-lease lists are in. And we'd all be like, yeah, let's go.
Right.
we'd be stoked because
There
that
has
phone
to be
call
a
meant
purpose,
something.
right.
Exactly. That phone call meant something. I was excited. There were previous customers. It was the perfect shit.
Yep.
Isn't manager just a fancy word for important paper bitch? Depends on which manager. That sounds
No,
that sounds like
because
finance.
I think the manager is the between the owner or the next level
filter.
and the sales.
It's the filter.
Yeah. So their job is disseminate up and down.
Yeah.
So-
Your job's to be a filter, but yeah, upward and downward.
Yeah.
To make sure, because the owner is so far removed
Yep.
from the day to day, and
The messaging comes from
correct.
us.
He's so far removed, and you're that translation.
Yeah.
It's like going into Indonesia. I need a translator. I don't know
Yeah.
what they speak. Yeah. Yeah, he goes, yeah. And it's easy for a manager to just become a huge piece of shit and take
yeah.
advantage and swing his dick around like
You got to
it's
learn
the
how to
9
work
feet
the
long.
system. Where's the money? Find the money.
Right.
Go get it.
That's all I cared about.
Yeah.
That's all I cared about. If you weren't talking about things that were making me money, I didn't want to have the
Why
conversation.
would I be there?
Yeah.
Because I have a
I
job.
don't need the fucking practice. I'm good with people already. I can do whatever as long as I'm talking.
Yeah.
I got about 15 minutes left before you said you needed to go.
Oh.
Right? You said
fine.
12:15 or 12:30. 12:30. Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
Got about 15 more minutes.
No worries.
Well, it's a fairly younger crew that we got in the ether watching us right now. And you're almost 70. I don't mean to assume.
Almost 65. but
Almost 65.
Yeah, I look 70.
That's almost 70.
Yeah, but I'm really immature.
I thought you were my dad's age. Is the only
Yeah.
reason I asked.
Yeah.
My apologies.
But I have a real dark side. Like, that's my downfall.
What's that?
Like, my sense of humor is dry.
Sure.
So I will F with you to your face. And people go, is he kidding? I'm like,
Yes and no. Yes and no.
okay, maybe I'll let you off the hook. But, yeah.
I like people who are 1000% themselves at all times and regardless of who's in the room, and that means being honest too.
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm a big advocate of brutal honesty.
Well, we went through a training, and it was at Camping World, and the trainer asked, what does integrity mean to you? And evidently I just jumped up, like he was right in front of me. It was Joe. And I said, it's freaking everything. He's like, down, dude. I'm like, that's all you got. You have your word. You lied.
Yeah.
They're going to check you, and you're done.
I just found life easier. When you draw your lines and you make them very distinguished.
Yeah. Define the way you work.
I told management and several managers that I drew my lines, and like if you choose to cross that line, like you're telling me something without words.
There were a lot of battles that were fought that didn't need to be fought.
Sure.
And that's what's ridiculous.
Yeah. I've had to draw lines that shouldn't have needed to been drawn.
Yeah.
Like I've had sales meetings where they just point at you. How many fucking phone calls? Oh, you're a piece of shit. How could you go home and tell your family you did your best?
Yeah.
Just degrading shit. Like it's already hard enough to live. It's already hard enough to be a human being in 2025. Whenever you think about it, but
The worst is when you have a bad manager protected by someone else. Mm-hmm. And we've experienced that. That's crazy. So, but I'm fortunate. Like my daughter, she's got my sense of humor, but she's too analytical. So when I fire back, it's wasted.
she thinks into it too
Yeah,
much. I think that might be a female thing.
Well, it's what I deserve.
It's
and
tough to
that's what I
joke with
got.
my daughters. It's tough because they're very emotional creatures. Plus, my oldest just turned 13 today. Happy birthday, sweetie.
Yeah.
And then the youngest is 4. So that's all emotion, no facts.
Yeah.
And then the 13 is a hell of a lot of emotion and enough facts to make you think that everybody's stupid.
Is
So
4 when they ask the one word question?
Yeah.
Why?
yeah.
And you just want to blow your head off by the 4th question of
I
why.
combat that by over-explaining before she can ask.
Yeah.
And then I dad-splain. I'm teaching you everything about this until you run away.
Yeah.
And then she does. And
I always call
enjoy
the
that.
dog over. The dog
Yeah.
just tracking. There's my squirrel.
There's the boy. Come here. There's a girl.
Yeah. I never won Father of the Year. It's hard to believe.
I think the average Twitch user, Slayer, what do you think, is like mid-20s, early 30s? The average?
Great time.
Yeah.
Great time.
If you could say anything as a almost 65-year-old
Yeah.
guy, almost double my age, like if you could say
Yeah.
anything to the crowd, what would it be? Like as far as moving forward in life, chasing a dream, or just following what you like?
Do what you like, but do it for your reason, not for someone else's. Being a doctor when you always wanted to be, something else because your parents want you to be a doctor, it's going to ruin you.
Yeah.
Find something you love, follow that passion, and just enjoy it. Get a job you like.
Yeah.
It's a lot of guys are. I think COVID screwed a lot of people up because now they expect to work from home. I think it's good for the right people. Like I could always work from home, but now it's sort of expected, and you got people who are giving less than an effort from home, and now that's their habit for work. You got to stay motivated.
Yeah.
So,
Stay motivated.
Yep.
How do you stay motivated? I mean, you're retired. You don't really
yeah,
need to
no,
motivate
but I
for
always
much,
thought
but-
about my family.
Sure.
I always thought what motivated, the guys I work with, know them, and what motivated a customer, so that I was always focused.
Yeah.
Like my focus is crazy, like one trick, I'm not a multitasker, but once I'm zeroed in on you, it's over.
Hell yeah.
Period.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Words of wisdom, ladies and gentlemen. And this is a guy who's been through the workforce.
Yeah.
Mostly the people who I bring on the show are, comedians, artists, and stuff like that. And, I've had several people who are not that and not really. Like, I've had Pat on. I've had Jason on. I love having salespeople on and sales managers on because I think we have to speak the truth so much that we find it in everything.
It bothered me when I became a car salesman because everybody, don't talk to the dirty car salesman.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to be that guy. I was going to be the guy you wanted to go to, and that, you got to change people's perspective.
Yeah, it means a lot to me that you like me in the process of the sale. I don't care if you like me as a person outside of my job, but I need, it's important to me, like I check that box. Like, okay, personality achieved or relationship achieved, rapport built, check that box off. And if I'm not there, I don't even feel comfortable moving on to the rest.
Right.
Like if
well,
they
you
don't
see that. A lot of guys don't see that.
Correct. I have a good empathetic reader.
Yeah.
And if people don't like me, I feel it because I've been not liked a lot.
Yep.
I've been not liked a lot.
No, and
especially
I've
as a
seen how
salesman.
you work too. And
Yeah.
the emotion is at the tower, but you're not facing the customer. And boom.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And you got to do it.
Yeah, you got to be able to jump on and off stage at any point, and you got to be able to, like, when I'm in the midst of talking to one of the managers at the tower, and I'm like, this motherfucker, hey, how you doing? And the customer walks up to the tower, hey, what's up? Oh, yeah, sure. It's such a funny fucking thing to watch, and every sales person worth their salt
All
does it.
done it.
They've all done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and believe it or not, who I am on stage and who I am on the sales floor are
Very similar.
with a few exceptions. Yeah, like I'm not talking about queefs or cum,
Which is good.
yeah. I mean, maybe depends on the customer.
Don't sit in that seat.
Yeah, don't sit in that seat. I nutted. You know, what I mean? Like, fucking, I try and be the same person, and I've talked to comedians before. This is one I'm currently using. Hello, mate. Slayer, could you deal with that guy, please? Please and thank you. Somebody's coming in.
How
with
did you
as a
deal with
box.
customers looking through the glass and seeing the breast pump there?
That was a weird timing on that fucking notification. You heard that, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's somebody following.
Well, congratulations.
USB Dua followed me. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Welcome.
And then he got deleted by the moderator because he's a bot. So it was a
Nice.
weird timing on that. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, I was worried with the black couch here.
Breast pump. We don't have to talk about that.
Yeah.
It's not my titty to talk about. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. No, I've enjoyed my sales career thus far. I think the next step is to take it and turn it into something,
Yeah,
and
I
that's
think-
kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah. I think you'll do well.
Thank you. It
You're
means
focused.
a lot.
Yeah.
Coming from you, that means a lot.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I've been wanting to have you on the show for a while. I was talking about you. You actually saw me start making this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Yeah, it's been a long journey. We've been in operation for about 2 years and some change now.
Nice.
Yeah, got some comedy shows coming up.
That I would like to see.
Yeah,
have
well,
to
I'll
let
send
me
you the
know.
info.
Yeah, 'cause I haven't seen any.
I'm gonna wrap it up because we're getting up on that 12:30, and I don't want you to.
Well,
I don't want you
appreciate
to. Yeah. Thanks again, guys, for coming by to dust off the mic. Next week we got Tyson Colson, comedian, coming along. Check him out on @TysonColsonComedy on Instagram and TikTok. You can also go on to www.#comedy.com to get tickets to his Friday, July 11th show, Colson/Neville's double feature. Check us out next week, probably around the same time. Thanks again, Chuck, for coming,
Hey, my
man.
pleasure.
I mean it, man. You're probably one of my favorite people who's ever held the title of manager. You held it with grace and aplomb, and I appreciate you coming by and indulging my insanity.
I really enjoyed it, so thank you.
Of course, man. All right, everybody. Peace.
I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the start. I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with eat.
No, give me my car. Then I go here. Okay. Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck white people!
Counterfeits trying to play me, I guess they thinking I'm Sony. These big head dummies showing up and out of their character. Homie, you need a price, cause without it the squad ain't hearing you. Top of that, we ain't fearing ya. We swinging for the fences with the sting of a